Hey everyone. Yeah, we are less than about 13, actually not 13, actually about almost 10 hours and 10 minutes away from the start of WrestleMania, or at least the start of the pre-show, if you will. Or at least the half hour that for some odd reason when it's ordered on pay-per-view doesn't get shown on pay-per-view, or actually what you get is a different kind of pre-show. You don't get the pre-show that you see on the network. What you get is I think Scott Stanford or somebody at WWE headquarters or around the Dallas area talking about what matches are coming up at WrestleMania. Now, this year's WrestleMania, today's WrestleMania, is supposed to be a very big one, a bit if not historic. It's supposed to basically break an attendance record for WWE, if not make a new world indoor attendance record at the same time. Now, some might say that WWE is not going to accomplish that, but I think they just might. I think that's the reality we have that has to set in. Is they're going to um, like I said, that's the reality has to set in. That they're going to end up breaking that attendance record, whether people want them to or not. Now, we've got basically about 7 to 8 matches on this card. Several of them are on the pre-show, two which will be seen on USA, and then I think one more on the WWE Network. Now, hold on for a sec. All right, ultimately, altogether, if you count the pre-show, WrestleMania has 11 matches. Three which will be on the pre-show. Now, like I said, two of them will be on the pre-show on USA. The other one will probably be on the network, which will be the first one. And that will definitely start the ball rolling for WrestleMania because that first match, believe it or not, is going to probably start around 2:30, 2:45, which makes it a very early match. And I mean very early because unless they rush all three matches within the hour, within an hour time frame, um, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting because they basically gotta if they're doing all the matches within that hour, they definitely gotta um, yeah, excuse me, they definitely got to figure out how they're going to fill time, if you will. So, my thought, honestly, is the U.S. Championship match between Kalisto and Ryback will be the first match of the entire day, the first match of the entire card, and it will be the match that starts the earliest. I'm looking at the fact that the pre-show. I look at the fact that um, I look at the fact that the pre-show is supposed to start around 2 o'clock. We're supposed to get about 2 hours of the pre-show before the event. So my my thought my thought is this. My thought is this. If they're going to get two matches within the hour, I would say that Kalisto and Ryback are going to probably start, like I said, around 2:45. I'm not. Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that. But I'm guessing it's going to be around 2:45. So that that's I think the earliest start time for the event. Not officially, but basically for the pre-show kickoff show matches. Uh, excuse me. That'll basically give you a taste of what's to come. Now, let's take a look at all let's take a look at all 11 matches. Let's take a look at the pre-show matches because, yes, they are part of WrestleMania. They may not seem like they're part of WrestleMania because they're not on the main attraction, which is basically 8 matches entirely. I mean, you got 3 out of 11 matches on the pre-show. So let's take a look at those pre-show matches right now. Let's take a look at Kalisto and Ryback. Now, a lot of people would say that you got to keep the belt on Kalisto, give it some relevancy, or give it some meaning again, give it some relevance again. But for me, I look at it the fact that they've been pushing Ryback. Obviously, they've repackaged him to be the Goldberg, if you will, for right now. Basically, what it looks like is they basically took him back to what he was originally, but now he's got this new look and everything. He's sort of like in between a heel and a baby face, sort of a tweener. Basically, the guy that goes in, kicks butt, and goes out and leaves. So I would have to say that if they're going to continue that even if it's on the pre-show, I have to go with Ryback. And the reason I say go with Ryback because if you're going to show that anything can happen at WrestleMania, even on the pre-show, and this has happened before. Let's not forget, a couple of years ago, The Miz beat Wade Barrett on the pre-show of WrestleMania to become the Intercontinental Champion. So my thought is that we're going to have a similar situation here, and Ryback's going to become the United States Champion. Now, will they book the same kind of angle or same kind of direction they did several years ago with The Miz and Wade Barrett between Ryback and Kalisto? I can't really say. If they do, then what's the point of putting the belt on Ryback? You know what? Just because you want to get people to, get people's attention and show them that anything can happen, even on the pre-show of WrestleMania. Okay, fine. But still, I look at it like this. The WWE is going to have the work cut out for them to get people excited. But if Kalisto and Ryback on the pre-show at the earliest start time that I can think of 2:50, 2:45 in the afternoon, which essentially is going to be about 4:45, 4:50 there in Dallas, or in Arlington, that is, they're going to have to do a hell of a job to get people's attention, even those filing in, because they're going to still be people filing in for this event. So they're going to have to do a heck of a job to set that mode, let's get people excited, get them off their feet kind of deal. So the way I look at it, though, like I said, I believe if they're going to continue this, even if it's for one day, I say they're going to give it to Ryback. So I have to go with that prediction there. Then we got the 10 Diva Tag Team match, which a lot of people are actually thankful is on the pre-show. Unfortunately, this is going to be part of the USA broadcast, from what it sounds like. And you got Team Total Divas against Team Bad and Blonde. You got Brie, Paige, Natalya, Alicia, and Eva Marie against Lana, Naomi, Tamina, Emma, and Summer Rae. Here's what's interesting about this. Brie Bella has improved in some ways. You may not agree most of the time with how she's improved. You may think, she's still got a lot to do, but she's improved. And then you take a look at her partners. 3 of them are actually pretty decent in the ring. Paige, we know, is very good. Natalya, we know, is very good. Alicia is definitely improved over the years. But then you got the one wild card in there, and that's Eva Marie. I think WWE is going to be regretting bringing Eva into this match. I hate to say it. I really do. Now you look on the other side, you got Lana, Naomi, Tamina, Emma, and Summer Rae. Here's what's funny about this. Out of Lana's teammates, she's the only one that's never really gotten in the ring that much. Summer Rae and Emma are pretty decent from the NXT days. Now Naomi and Tamina, what more can be said? So I look at the actual women wrestlers on both teams to carry this match, and I would have to say that if this is Brie's last hurrah in the ring, I think WWE's got to go with Total Divas because that's their show right now. That's their show. That's the one that's the one that helps expand the Divas division. I would have to go with the Total Diva team. Now, if the rumor about a new women's championship uh, being resurrected with a new women's championship being born, being and thus resurrecting the women's division happens tomorrow night on Raw, then I think the booking will go with Bad and Blonde. But if they're still behind Total Divas, I think, and it's possibly Bree's last hurrah, I think it's going to be Total Divas. I know people don't want to hear that, but I can see it right now. It's going to be Total Divas. And don't be surprised if maybe you see both Lana and maybe even Eva Marie turn on their teammates and start, like I mentioned one time in a video, some kind of storyline to where they want to establish that that being a diva is more important than being a women's wrestler or something like that. Don't be surprised if they might do that. If they do something like that or something in that category. The third pre-show match is the Usos versus the Dudley Boys. I know a lot of people have said, and I do agree with this, that this is something that shouldn't be on a pre-show. This is something that shouldn't even be a match. And that if you're going to involve the Dudleys, if you're going to involve them, you involve the Dudleys, you might as well put them in a tag team match, multiple tag team match for the tag team titles, either as a TLC match or whatever, with New Day and the Legion in the League of Nations. But apparently they want to have another tag team match just to, like I say, get people off their feet. Let's not forget we had a tag team match. It was a multiple team match, I will say that, on the pre-show last year. But I think what this is it's more along the lines of, hey, look, we're trying to break an indoor attendance record. And let's not forget that one of the first matches, if not the first match of WrestleMania 3, was a regular tag team match between the Rougeau brothers and I think let me see here. Between the Rougeau brothers and I believe let me see. Here we go. Sorry about this. Sorry. I had a little bit of itch there. Okay, the first match actually was the Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel and Tom Zink, the Z-Man from WCW, beating Bob Orton and the Magnificent Morocco. Now, what's funny about this is this too had about a magnitude of matches. So that's pretty cool. The only difference is WrestleMania 3 had one match more than they did than this year's WrestleMania does. But it was the Can-Am Connection that defeated Bob Orton and the Magnificent Morocco. So they had tag team matches there. Don't get me wrong. They had two tag team matches actually. They had the Dream Team against the Rougeau brothers. That was like, according to this, the fifth match on the card. So the matches that are just there sometimes will just go like for a little. In fact, they even had a third match. In fact, they had an 11th match that I guess was the 11th. That was the second to last match of the night, and that was the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov defeating the Killer Bees. So they had three regular tag team matches out here, which was pretty decent, as well as as well as two 6-man tags. Well, one being a mixed tag with Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy teaming up with midget wrestlers. And those being the Haiti Kid, Little Beaver, Little Tokyo, and Lord Littlebrook. So, yeah, they had multiple tag team matches on there. But you got to remember, this was at a time they didn't they didn't have a pre-show. They didn't have no kind of pre-shows or anything like that. So, like I said, they didn't have no pre-shows. But like I said, when you count it all together, this year's event has one match less, all together, pre-show and main card. But like I said, I know a lot of people don't like the fact that the Dudleys and the Usos are facing each other in a tag team match, and rather have them in a multi-team match with the New Day and the League of Nations. But the way I look at it, um, again, I think they just want to try to recapture maybe that magic that WrestleMania 3 had. And by having this tag team match, it's going to kind of help that out. Overall, who do I think is going to win? Well, I think when you look at it in a sense, I'd have to say you got to go with the Usos. Because, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, because if they're planning to do with the Dudleys, mostly Bubba Ray, if they're planning to do with them and him what I think they're going to do, then I definitely say you got to go with the Usos on this one. Just saying. That's what I would do if I was WWE, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think you got to give the Usos the win here. Excuse me. All right, the next match, which apparently could be the first match of the night, the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Kevin Owens, and now we're getting into the main pay-per-view card now, the main card, which will be on pay-per-view. We have Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder, Sin Cara, The Miz, and Stardust. How do we look at this? Well, this is actually going to be a pretty decent match. I think it's going to be the one that really gets people on the feet. I mean, if Kalisto and Ryback don't do it, which I think they might get people a little excited, and if the Usos and the Dudleys don't do it to kind of really get things kicked off and started, then this match will really get people going and really thirst for more. To me, I look at it this way. When you take Ziggler, Ryder, Sin Cara, Miz, and Stardust out of the equation, this is actually really about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know it is. I think we all do. So overall, I'm not knocking any of the competitors because they all have kind of legit storyline reasons to probably win. You take a look at Dolph Ziggler. Recently, he's been involved in a situation with the Authority. Didn't think he would have a match at WrestleMania. Lost to Triple H. Thus shouldn't have a WrestleMania match, but he's got one. So from a storyline aspect, having him um, having him win this match would be, I guess, okay. I mean, even though a lot of people like the Schleg Daddy wouldn't like the idea of that happening, I would have to say that him winning from a storyline perspective could be pretty good because, in a sense, it would be him sticking it in his own way to the Authority of saying, hey, you didn't think I'd have a WrestleMania match? I almost didn't. Now look, not only did I have one, but I won the Intercontinental Championship. Now, on the other hand, you got Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder wasn't even supposed to be in this match except for the injury to Neville. Now, a lot of people would hope Zack Ryder would win this because pretty much you have to give something to Zack for all the hard work he's done, for the fact that despite the fact that back in 2011 it looked like you were going to do something with him, and all of a sudden you pull the rug out from him. To me, I think this is definitely something that you could give to him as a reward, even if it's for a week or a month or 24 hours. Give it to him as a reward of loyalty despite all the crap that you put him through. Sin Cara, I think, is just there to do the spot festing. Miz, you could probably legitimately give it to him because, he still does all this multimedia outlets. He still sort of speaks for WWE. He sort of does all these tours, these appearances at times. And he's got that outside connection to Hollywood, I guess you could say. So maybe The Miz, I would say, just to reward him for, being a representative for WWE, a spokesperson, if you will. Stardust, I could see them doing it because, they recently unveiled the Dusty Rhodes statue. And I could see them giving it to him as sort of a tribute to him, tribute to his father, again with the unveiling. So I could see that happening maybe. But like I said, when you get down to it and you take all those other guys out, it's really about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And if you really want to go from a storyline perspective, which has spanned over a year, when you think about it, you take when you think about it, you take, like I said, the other participants out of the equation, and then you just focus on what it really is, and that's Zayn and Owens. This is something that's been building from a storyline perspective for a year. Because Zayn was never really able to get his hands on Owens back in NXT. He had to wait. And when he waited, Owens got called up to the main roster. So to me, from a storyline perspective, this could really benefit someone like a Sami Zayn because it will show that no matter where Owens goes, Zayn's going to follow him. And what a way for Zayn to stick it to Owens because, yeah, you're basically you're beating him for a championship, but you're not beating him for the NXT title. You're beating him for the championship that, from a championship ranking, officially makes you the number one contender. From an official championship ranking, makes you the number one contender. Doesn't mean you get an automatic shot at the world title, but officially it makes you the second top guy, second top champion in the company. So to me, this is really just between them. And if I'm WWE and I'm storyboarding this right, and especially if I have somebody from NXT that used to be on their creative side, their head writer or one of the head writers, working on the main creative staff now, I definitely book Sami Zayn to get his WrestleMania moment, thus getting his official revenge over Kevin Owens for stabbing him in the back in NXT, taking the NXT title away from him, and now he gets to kind of throw it back at Kevin Owens by taking the Continental Championship away from him on the biggest stage, WrestleMania. So I think that's who they might go with tonight or today at WrestleMania. The next match, I have to say, is probably going to be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now, we don't know who's in the Battle Royal yet. Well, we do know who's in it. We know Big Show's in it. We know Big Show's in it. We know the Social Outcasts are in it. We know Kane's in it. We know Tyler Breeze, Mark Henry, Jack Swagger, Fandango, Damian Sandow, Darren Young, Connor, Victor, Goldust, and R-Truth are all in it. We don't know who else is in it. So let's see here. You got Heath Slater, Axel, Rose, Dallas. You got Big Show. You got Kane. You got Tyler Breeze, Mark Henry, Jack Swagger, Fandango. That's 10 people. Damian Sandow, Darren Young, Connor, Victor, Goldust, and R-Truth. So that's 16 participants. We don't know who the other 4 are. Now, originally, this match was going to be on the pre-show, but it was announced that it was going to be on the... Basically, it was announced that it was going to end up on the main roster, on the main card. And the reason I think this is because they got some surprises. And I think those 4 slots that are remaining could indicate several surprises. We know John Cena is cleared to compete, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in this Battle Royal. And if it happens, then you know WWE is going to go with John Cena winning it. Secondly, you could use this to bring up Samoa Joe. You can use this to bring up Baron Corbin. And you could use this for the Wyatts. 3 of the Wyatts, actually. Bray, Rowan, and Strowman. So that would leave 1 more slot. And if that's the case, I would assume that one more slot is either going to go to John Cena or it's going to go to someone from NXT, which could either be Corbin or Joe, maybe even Balor. Who knows? So, but who do I think will win this? And maybe even Cesaro. I think there's rumors Cesaro might come back for it. So, who's going to win this? It's hard to say, but whoever it is, hopefully WWE might follow through this time and give him some kind of a push. But if John Cena's in this, if this is his return match, I'd say John Cena. If it's to reestablish the Wyatts, I go Bray. If it's to give someone one last swan song, I'd have to say either Mark Henry or Kane. So those are basically who I think will win this, who I think they're going to book to win it. All right, the next match, which I think is going to be sort of to get people back into it. I think we're going to have AJ and Chris Jericho following that. This is AJ Styles' WrestleMania debut, probably the biggest crowd he's ever been in front of in his career. And this is basically going to be the match that, in my opinion, puts AJ Styles on the WWE map. I mean, I'm not saying he's not on the map already. I mean, they're pushing this guy. You could see it. But to me, this is really going to further establish that this guy belongs in the WWE. This guy belongs here, and this is his time, and he's going to make the most of it. So I have to say that if they book this right, and this might be Chris Jericho's last match in WWE for a while, you got to go with AJ Styles. You got to let him win it. You got to firmly establish him as a main event guy, or at least an upper mid card to main event guy, and a possible challenger down the line. So if I'm booking this, and I think hopefully WWE is thinking this as well, you got to firmly use this to establish AJ Styles, and especially if this is Chris Jericho's last match in the company for a while. Then we get to the next match, which is the New Day against the League of Nations, 3-on-4 handicap match. This is going to be quite interesting because there's a rumor that the New Day are going to enter on unicorns. I am not joking. There's a rumor going around that their entrance is going to consist of them riding on flying unicorns. This I have to see if that's true. But to me, they got a lot of momentum. And I have to say that WWE would be foolish not to give the New Day the win here. I mean, the New Day has basically, take a look at Big E, Kofi, and Xavier. They took a concept that originally was supposed to be almost like a Malcolm X Nation of Domination like faction, and got turned into what it is, and then it got turned on its head into what it was and is. And basically, they did exactly what a lot of people that get saddled with something that was not originally what they intended. They made it work. And I think, but just for the fact that they made it work, they went out and did what they had to. I have to say, you got to give this. If I'm booking it, I say you go with the New Day. If they go with the League of Nations, why go with them? I mean, if Barrett is leaving the company in the next few months, why give it to the League of Nations? Unless you're planning to re-sign Barrett. So, if I'm WWE, I go with the New Day. That's who I go with, because they've basically taken a concept that was supposed to be basically a rip on them, if you will, supposed to be a joke on them, and basically turned it around and made it into something fun. To coin a phrase, phenomenal, if you will. So if I'm WWE, I have to go with the New Day winning at WrestleMania over the League of Nations. I do, because if you're giving it to the League of Nations, what's it really going to do? You got one guy leaving. I'm just saying. All right, now we get into the meat of the card. Basically, the main event matches, the 3 featured bouts. And we're going to start off with Charlotte and Ric Flair. Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. I think this match is probably going to be the best women's diva match in WrestleMania in a long time at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be the very best. It's definitely going to be a step up. Excuse me. It's definitely going to be a step up from the tag team match last year, where the title wasn't even on the line. Nothing against AJ and Paige and them going over the Bellas. But to me, this is definitely a huge turnaround. And these three ladies who basically, along with Bayley, along with Natalya, help build the foundation, help set the standard for what it is to be a women's wrestler, not just in NXT, but in WWE as a whole. This is their reward. This is their moment. And if I'm WWE, I give these ladies all the time in the world to go out there and compete. Give them 15 to 20 minutes. Let them do what they have to do. Let them rekindle that NXT magic and allow them to do things that they did in NXT. Allow them to do it here on the main roster and on the main stage of WrestleMania. Let them do it. And you know what? If I'm WWE, and yes, Snoop Dogg, he acknowledged it last night at the Hall of Fame ceremonies. If I'm smart and I want to counter Ric Flair, I bring Snoop Dogg out with Sasha. That's what I do. Now, as far as who's going to win this, there are some people that say that Charlotte should retain because it makes her even more hated and makes her ego grow even more from a storyline perspective. But a lot of people pretty much are confirmed and pretty much it's been confirmed in the eyes of a lot of people, especially with last night at the Hall of Fame, that Sasha is the one walking out with the belt because they're building up the fact that she's undefeated since she's came to the main roster. So, that's a legitimate storyline perspective that, hey, she hasn't been beat yet. And, everybody's behind her. Everybody's talking about her. She's got a diary and everything on WWE.com's YouTube page. So, yeah, she seems like the most legitimate choice to walk out with the women's title. And I wouldn't have, the Divas Championship, which she's probably the next night going to, resurrect and reinvent into resurrect or reboot, if you will, into the women's championship. Now, with that said, though, you got Becky Lynch, and she's the wild card in the equation. And to me, I think they're going to give it to Becky Lynch. That's what I'm looking at. Here's why. Everybody's doubting that she belongs in the ring with both Charlotte and Sasha from a storyline perspective. She's had multiple opportunities and she's lost. So I believe WWE is going to give it to Becky Lynch. And again, just like with Ryback and maybe with whoever wins the Intercontinental title, even if it's for 24 hours or at least into Extreme Rules, they're going to let her have a moment and then she's going to drop the belt probably to Sasha Banks. That's what I see happening. So as much as Sasha is definitely the favorite and probably the smart choice booking-wise to walk out with the title with all the momentum and everything, with her, if you will, all the momentum and, confidence from people, with her and everybody pretty much projecting she's going to do it. I think we can't forget Becky Lynch is in this match, and I think because from a storyline perspective, no one thinks she can do it. I think Becky Lynch is going to walk out with the belt. I really do. So that's who I think they're going to book to win the championship, even if it's for a week, 24 hours, or a month. That's who I think they're going to go with. Then the next match is going to be Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, no holds barred street fight. This is where I think WWE might just get a little more lenient. They might allow for things to get a little bit more extreme than necessary. And this is definitely a match that could steal the show. And it's definitely a match that I think could, at least, I look as a bit of a thank you to the fans, is going to harpen back to the Ruthless Aggression and Attitude Era style. Mostly the Ruthless Aggression style, and like I said, a little bit of the Attitude Era style, because I think this might be the one match, like I say, they might be lenient on, and they might allow for the use of weapons, not just the kind of weapons we've seen traditionally in these extreme rule matches or no holds barred street fights, but the kind of weapons that we haven't seen used in a long time. I mean, why in the world would you allow a barbed wire baseball bat to come back into play? Why would you allow that? Why would you possibly allow a chainsaw, which, like, I do agree with the Lexman, I don't think they'll go with, but that would be a surprise if they did. Why would you allow this if it's not probably going to be used in some way? So I think this might be the only time they become very lenient. In other words, they're going to relax the rules in a huge way and say, let them go, let them go. And I think as well that if you want to make it up to Brock Lesnar for taking away his match that he wanted against Bray Wyatt, then you let that happen. And if you want, like I said, give fans a thank you and give a thank you to Dean Ambrose, let them go. Let them go. Just let them go. Let it be. Relax the rules, and I think that's what they're going to do. Because if they try to do what they did at NXT Takeover and interrupt and go, wait, 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 Dean, clean, 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 clean. Okay, go. That match, WWE is going to get booed right out of AT&T Stadium. They do that. So, to me, I think this might be the match they just become very lenient on. In other words, this is the match that's going to basically establish that just for this moment, they went back to the roots of attitude and aggression. Just for this match and the next match or so. But who wins? Well, a lot of people might say that I actually have a friend at church that says if Brock loses, he's not going to watch WWE ever again. Well, at least for a while. If Dean wins. I think, in a sense, this is what I think this match is going to do. This match is going to firmly establish that Dean can hang with anybody, and that no matter how big, how tough, how strong, how big, how tough, how strong you are, how much of a beast or a freak you are, that no matter what you do to him, what you hit him with, he's going to get back up. And to me, this is a match also that's going to further establish that no matter what you do to Brock Lesnar, he's going to get back up. This is basically going to be a stalemate of a hardcore match. Now, who wins? It's totally up in the air. You let Brock win, that's fine. There's a lot of people who want that to happen because it firmly establishes that he's a beast no matter what you do to him. But if Dean wins, it firmly establishes that this guy is ready for the main event. He's ready to be the champ. And that no matter who you are or what you do to him, you can't keep him down either. So it's a toss-up. But if I'm WWE, I don't know what I do here. I mean, if you're planning to do Brock and Bray down the line, then definitely you got to go with Dean. We'll have to wait and see. So to me, right now, this match is a toss-up. Then we get the next match for the WWE World Championship. And yes, I firmly believe this will be the second to last match. Triple H and Roman Reigns. This might be a good match. This might be the match that basically mirrors Bret Hart and Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. That's what I firmly believe it's going to do. It's going to mirror that in a sense to where it's going to turn Triple H into a babyface and it's going to turn Roman Reigns into the heel that fans want him to be. So I could probably see that happening. But I can also see it as being one of those, the match starts, next thing you know, Superman punch, spear, 1, 2, 3, that's it. I could see it basically being a very quick squash match for the WWE Championship with Roman beating Triple H, thus establishing that the Roman Empire is more stronger, more aggressive, more stronger than the Authority, and more aggressive than the Authority. And from a storyline perspective, it also shows that you don't mess with Roman Reigns. You don't piss this guy off. You don't, screw him out of his championship matches or screw him out of the championship he's earned. I could see them doing that. I could see that being the way the match goes. A quick Superman punch and spear, and that's it. Hopefully that may not happen, and we'll get a decent match out of these two, because Triple H is good in that ring. He's the general. There's no doubt about it. So, to me, I know they're going to go Roman Reigns. That's a given. but the way they go with the match and how it happens, that's up in the air. So, but definitely, I think they're going to go with Roman no matter what. But will they go with the mirroring of Austin and Brett from WrestleMania 13? I have to wait and see. And then what I consider, and many people are considering, the main event of WrestleMania, the Hell in a Cell match, Shane McMahon and The Undertaker, with the stipulations that if Shane wins, he gets control of Raw, that's WWE, and Undertaker, if he loses, will be barred from competing at WrestleMania, which I don't think is going to really stand, but we'll see. Well, it might stand if it happens, because especially with the announcement by Sting last night, yeah, it just might. I don't know. So, how does this go? Well, this is going to be the determining factor. This is going to be the determining factor of whether or not the Authority stays. We have been dealing with the Authority storyline for some time. We got a bit of a reprieve for about a month. That was it. But it just kept going and going, and at times we didn't know where they were going with it. We didn't know if they were turning them tweeners into light baby faces or what. We didn't know for a while, but apparently we did know going into this year that they're still heels. That's pretty much a given. That they're pretty much heels. But like I said, they kind of blurred the lines between tweener and heel. So, because they made some babyface decisions throughout the summer last year. Let's not forget that. But overall, what do I see here? Well, I see a very brutal match, if not violent match. I mean, the way things were talking, verbally, Vince has been talking, and Undertaker been talking, and Shane's been talking, and what they're willing to do, and what Shane did on Monday. I have to say this, like I said with the Ambrose Lesnar match, I say this is going to be one of those matches that they relax the rules on, and they just let them go, because like I said, if they try to do what they did in the Samoa Joe Finn Balor match, WWE is going to get booed big time if they attempt that in any of those two matches. So overall, though, what's going to be the end result? Well, I hate to say it, but if this is the end, but hopefully WWE makes this the final, because it sounds like the Raw after Mania tomorrow night is going to be a rebooting of WWE, because you got the rumors that the Divas title is going to become ancient history. It's going to be and the women's championship is going to be resurrected with a new championship to boot. It's going to be like a new era, it's going to be a breath of fresh air, if you will. So, to me, I don't really know. I mean, I would have to say, as much as I would like Undertaker to win, if this is his last match, then I definitely see Shane McMahon going out on top, going out as the winner. But I see Undertaker going out still on top with a massive ovation in that stadium, because if you're going to break a record, you might as well have the man that's from that area main event, and if he's going to lose, at least let him go out with some dignity in basically what could be a very brutal, violent match with the future of the company on the line. So, again, it's a toss-up, but I definitely think if they're going to finally get the Authority out of our hair, or at least out of the limelight known as Monday Night Raw, and maybe put them on SmackDown, thus beginning a brand split again, then I definitely think they're going to go with Shane McMahon. But who knows? It's The Undertaker. Who knows? But we'll just have to wait and see till tonight, I should say, and see where they go with it. But those are my predictions for WrestleMania tonight. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment, if you will, on what your thoughts are on WrestleMania. If you still have time, if you still haven't previewed or predicted your predictions yet, let me know down below what you think, and let me know who you think WWE might go with in in the Hell in the Cell match and in the No Holds Barred street fight. Let me know what you think down below. And who do you think is going to win the Memorial Battle Royal? Let me know down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to you later.